going on, everyone? So, yesterday I made a video about Cam Thomas after the Brooklyn Nets basically lowballed him with a 2-year, $28 million contract, so $14 million a year, but with a team option for year 2. And I talked about how the Lakers should look to at least make contact, right? I understand people are going to say we need defense, we need all this stuff. Going and trading for Cam Thomas wouldn't change any of that, but it would give you a prolific scorer, primarily off the bench, with one of the worst offensive benches in all of basketball last year. You don't think Cam Thomas wouldn't help a ton? He's also 23. He'll be 24-year-old next year. He would be tremendous. Also, the Lakers could potentially use Cam Thomas as their consolidation trade and send out, depending on what Cam Thomas gets, right? Because he wants more money. But, if you did something like Gabe Vincent and a Dalton Connect for a Cam Thomas, you'd clear a little change, right? Be able to bring in another guy, be able to free up that roster spot. Maybe you can even do a more expanded trade, especially if Cam Thomas wants a little more. Maybe you're actually paying him a little more and kind of using that as a way to kind of dump multiple guys in salary. You can work it out and figure it out, right? Again, going and getting a guy like a Cam Thomas, especially cheap compared to what he'd probably be on the open market, right? On kind of this prove it deal, I think you could do worse, right? And he is a need. Lakers need bench scoring. They need bench production. Cam Thomas is a guy that go win you games by himself, right? Because he just goes off and can get wild and crazy as far as scoring the basketball. Well, the reason I'm talking about it again is because there were new reports that have came out that kind of give us a little more insight, and that basically the Brooklyn Nets don't really want him. That the Brooklyn Nets kind of want to get off of him because they don't really view him as anything more than a scorer. Right? Like, that's the question. And even Cam Thomas was going out and defending himself over on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, right? He was over there. There was all these reports and all these conversations about like him not being this playmaker and all this other stuff. And Cam basically went and was fighting back, arguing back. And then, Brooklyn seems to look at him just as kind of that bucket getter, right? They don't look at him as like a primary focal point moving forward, right? Which is what I said I believe he is. I think he is that Lou Williams type. I think he's a guy that coming off the bench, go get you 20 plus a night, be one of the primary scoring options, right? Make the occasional play. I don't think he's like, he's not Luka out there or LeBron. He's not this like or Chris Paul type. He's more of a bucket getter that can make plays through what the defense gives him, right? And maybe he can evolve and adapt and become more of a playmaker scorer. That's a very real possibility. But as of right now, the guy is a microwave scorer. You get him out there, he's going to give you 20, right? Like, that's what you're kind of looking for him to do. And I look at him in that kind of sixth-man Lou Williams type role for the Lakers. But according to Brett Siegel, belief around the league is that the Nets don't want to keep Cam Thomas as a focal point long term, which I don't think that's a belief now because, again, look at the contract that they gave him. 2 years on $14 million a year with a team option, not a player option, a team option. So that means Brooklyn can just get off of him and make him an unrestricted free agent, right? So if you're the Brooklyn Nets, that is everything you need to know, right? If you're Cam Thomas, you're looking at this like, okay, you guys clearly don't want me, right? But according to Jake L. Fisher, Cam Thomas thinks of himself as one of the most elite playmaker scorers in the NBA, and he wants to be compensated as such. So he wants to get the bag, right? Which, everybody does. What is the money to him, right? Because, look, if he believes he's one of the best scorers in all of basketball, is he looking for $40 million a year? Because you're crazy, right? Like, you're not going to get that from anybody. But what I would look to do if I'm the Lakers is sell him on kind of the Malik Monk situation, right? Like, hey, you could take that contract with the Nets, or you could take that same contract, push your way to us, we'll go and trade for you, and then you can play that role. And if it works, then yeah, guess what? You're going to get your bag. If it doesn't work, then you're still going to get paid, right? There's still going to be teams that like you, but you want to bet on yourself. You believe that you're this guy. Well, what better platform is there than the Lakers? Again, look at Malik Monk and the money that he's getting because he came to the Lakers to bet on himself, right? Cam Thomas could kind of do that, right? Like, use the Lakers platform, because if he comes to the Lakers and scores 24, that's going to be much more tooted and talked about than him doing that with the Brooklyn Nets. It just will be. Even if he's just like 15 a game off the bench and the Lakers are really good and they're winning and he's a big part of it, that'll be more, there'll be more of a spotlight on that for him than him dropping 30 with the Brooklyn Nets, right? Because again, Brooklyn's going to be looked at as a bad team that's on a rebuild. Like the Lakers are the Lakers. There's not a bigger microphone than the Lakers. So if you're Cam Thomas, you might want to go to the Lakers, right? That might be the best situation for your career. And if you're the Lakers, again, you can come in, give him like, hey, let's work out a sign and trade. We'll give you that same type of contract. But, I'd even be okay giving him a player option instead of a team option, right? Hey, we'll give you the $28 million a year, but we'll give you the player option instead of the team option. So this year, if you're great and you blow up and somebody offers you $30 million, perfect, no problems. You can go and take that money. But if not, then you opt in and you keep the $14 million because it would still preserve and keep the cap space for 2027, which is what the Lakers want. So you'd have this prolific scorer off the bench that can go give you buckets, right? And now you kind of still preserve the cap space. And if he's unbelievable and ends up becoming that top scorer and that guy that's just too good to be true and works alongside Luka and stuff, then you sign him long term, right? Like, it's that simple. Like, the Lakers can't lose in that scenario. And you might be able, again, to do a consolidation trade. So you might not just get back Cam Thomas, right? You might be able to do something where you're sending out a couple key things in order to land that, right? Sending out a second, maybe a couple pick swaps, right? I also wouldn't mind if the Lakers paid him, say, like 18 million, right? Or 17 million, probably 17 million, right? Do something where you're paying him 17 million and then do a 2-year, maybe even keep the team option on the second year. But hey, we're paying you more, right? Why do you want to come to us? Because yeah, we're still keeping the contracts the same, but we're giving you $3 million a year more. And if you're really good for us, we're not going to get rid of you. We're going to keep you. Right. And also that gives you flexibility to trade him. That makes him a more kind of, technically an expiring contract. So if they want to trade him this year, they can, right? It would give the Lakers flexibility. If it doesn't work out, you can get off of him. But also if it does work out, you can keep him. But also what it could do is now you could do something like a Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber plus a Dalton Connect, maybe throw in like 2 pick swaps in a second, right? And now you got back Cam Thomas, thinking the wing, Cam Thomas, right? And you're getting back, you're opening up 2 roster spots and you're clearing like $7 million off your books or more than $8 million off your books, right? So now what you can do is you can bring in Cam Thomas, right? Bring in an Al Horford and a DeAnthony Melton, and then you'd still have money left over in order to go make trades and make moves and stuff like that. And now you can go look to move off of a Rui Hachimura and go land a guy or do whatever. And now you have the bench scoring, you have the bench defense, you have the bench production. Now you're just much more versatile across the board if you can pull something like that off. So I don't even just look at Cam Thomas as the potential of just pulling off a singular trade. Yes, you could do something, like I said, you could do, like, let's say you pay him $14 million a year, but you give him the player option year 2, right? To keep the cap space preserved for 2027. Again, you could do a Gabe Vincent and a Dalton Connect, which would be, 15, almost 16 million. So you clear, roughly 500,000 to $1 million, right? But that's not enough. You'd still be short on bringing a guy in, right? So you'd need to kind of clear a little more. So you'd almost have to do something where, because I'm not trading like Rui or anything like that in the deal. So you'd almost have to pay him more. But again, by paying him more, you unlock all these other possibilities for you. And then you still have all your assets. You still have your first. You still have Rui. You still have all these guys that now you can then go and trade in order to bring in. At that point, I'd probably go, like, if let's say you turn Kleber, Gabe Vincent, and Dalton Connect, plus, let's say, 2 pick swaps in a second, right? Okay, if you landed Cam Thomas, Al Horford, and a DeAnthony Melton, at that point, I would go all in and go get Andrew Wiggins. Because now I think you're the best team in basketball. Because you got to think, at that point, you'd have what I would start personally. This is just me. But I would start Luka, Marcus Smart, Andrew Wiggins, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton, and then you have Austin Reeves, Cam Thomas, right, with Jared Vanderbilt, Adu Thero, right? You'd have like Jackson Hayes, like you'd have basically now a legit 10 deep roster with a ton of versatility, a ton of, scoring and playmaking and shooting and all this other stuff. Now I think you're just a more comparable team. So if you're able to pull off a trade like that, personally, I'd be willing to go all in on an Andrew Wiggins, right? Like I said, I don't mind overpaying if it's justified, if it makes sense, right? Like Lakers overpaid for Mark, or would have overpaid for Mark Williams, right? But it was justified. It made sense. It was worth it, right? Sometimes you gotta overpay for the thing that you need, right? But right now, I don't think Andrew Wiggins by himself takes the Lakers over the top, right? I don't think Andrew Wiggins by himself now makes the Lakers one of the best teams in all of basketball. I think it's a huge step in the right direction, and it's possible, it could, depending on how things play out, but if you can get Andrew Wiggins, Cam Thomas, DeAnthony Melton, and Al Horford, now I think on top of Ayton, Laravia, so like now you start going down the list and it's like, okay, yeah, now the Lakers are one of the deepest and best teams in all of basketball. Now I think they can win a championship. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.